Good afternoon and welcome along to live coverage of the FOSROC Super6 Sunday afternoon fixture. This of course round 2, and this week we're at Goldenacre as hosts Heriot Rugby entertain city rivals Watsonians. Both sides got off to a winning start last weekend with success at Millbrae and the Greenyards respectively. There's a glimpse of Goldenacre this afternoon as spectators continue to make their way into the main stand here. And spectators are certainly wrapped up for a chilly afternoon in round 2. And I'm delighted to say Graham Wilson joins me in the commentary box this afternoon for this All Edinburgh affair. Points and local bragging rights very much up for grabs. Of course, yesterday, 2 very entertaining matches, very close affairs as well at Bridgehawk, Stirling County and Southern Knights ending in a 24-all draw, and 2 late Boroughmuir tries bringing them right back into the match, but the Boroughmuir Bears falling just short to Ayrshire Bulls. 32-27 it finished at Millbrae, Ayrshire Bulls' first win of the season. And there we are at the bottom of that chart, Heriot Rugby against Watsonians Rugby. As we mentioned, local bragging rights very much up for grabs today. The sides in this afternoon, well, Heriot's Rugby did announce that they'd earlier in the month announced the squad for the first 3 sets of fixtures. It means Rory McMichael moves from wing to fullback this afternoon. It also means that there's wholesale changes in that pack, with Ian Wilson, their captain, the survivor from last weekend's win at Millbrae. He moves from blindside flanker to number 8. For Watsonians, they've retained the services of their 2 try scorers last weekend, Lewis Berg and Joe Reynolds at centre. Their skipper is Lee Miller, he is at fly half, and their man of the match, Morgan Ennis, where's number 8? So there a glimpse of a very scenic part of Edinburgh, and we look down those spectators up on Salisbury Crags and Arthur Seat. Might just get a glimpse of what is happening here at Goldenacre this afternoon. As I mentioned, Graham Wilson alongside me for this one, and Graham, delighted to have you along with us this afternoon. Heriot's with a win last weekend at Millbrae will be well aware of the threat posed by a Watsonian side who were also winners at Melrose last weekend.
Afternoon, yeah, great win for Heriot's last week, a good result for Watsonians also, so it's set to be a cracker today. It's a city derby, and I think Heriot's will go into it with a lot of confidence. I know they've had a good week's training and just looking to build on last weekend's result.
It's one of those afternoons where spectators have got scarves and 1 or 2 bobble hats on, some braving the elements with neither of course, but it's not as chilly as it was a little earlier. It was one of those frosty mornings in the capital where you heard a few people out early scraping frost from the car windscreens. The youngsters from Goldenacre are just lined up with their blue and white flags to welcome onto the field of play. Both the sides just in a couple of minutes time. Of course, this a competition that has whetted the appetite of the Scottish rugby public. And Graham, just glancing along the rows of seats in front of us, many spectators here this afternoon clearly enthused by what has happened in the early stages of this new Super 6 competition.
Yeah, it was great to see Goldenacre so busy with the stand filling up. And I think the quality of last weekend's games, the Super 6 has got off to a great start, and I'm sure that'll continue again today with some entertaining rugby.
Keith Allen is our match referee this afternoon. Of course, he took charge of Heriot's Rugby's victory through in the West Coast at Alloway last weekend as Watsonians make their way onto the field of play, led out by their skipper Lee Miller, the fly half. Watsonians sporting the dark blue jerseys with the sky blue trims this afternoon, white shorts and the club traditional colours, the maroon socks. And any minute now, our host side this afternoon, Heriot's Rugby, will take to the pitch as well, as the Tannoy announcer has been entertaining the crowd inside Goldenacre since about 1:30 with information and with some music, as well as you can see Nicky Walker taken to his seat. As coming out from the mouth of the tunnel there, the first glimpse of Ian Wilson and of Heriot's Rugby. Out they come, coming out with some purpose. A win for them this afternoon. They go top of the table. Likewise, Watsonians. That makes it such an entertaining contest. And the 2 sides then will just take to the field for this first Edinburgh derby of the season here at Goldenacre. And there is Keith Allen, the aforementioned referee. So the Heriot players, Graham will know him very well from last weekend's victory at Millbrae.
Yeah, I think they should know what to expect from him, although there was 5 yellow cards in total last weekend, I believe, so they'll need to be careful with their discipline.
Yeah, there was a few occasions where Keith Allen had to go for the pocket. Well, as you can see, it's Heriots who will have the kick-off there, and Edwards launches one high just towards the edge of the 22. And immediately Watsonians look to try and gather and clear from their own 22 area. They've got Alex Ball going in as the Heriots scrum half, but his opposite number, Rowan Frostwick, is the first 9 to get a touch on the ball. And some protection given there as Frostwick again looking just to try and control with the studs of his boot. And he hoists a high one up, and that will just travel towards the edge of halfway before it's grabbed out on that right side. Heriots, of course, starting today with Jack Blaine on the right wing. Rory McMichael, who was a winger last weekend, occupying the full-back berth on this occasion. Early stages here inside the opening minute. A touch again for Edwards, spreading the ball towards the left-hand side. Heriots going in with numbers. There is the aforementioned Ball with an opportunity, but Watsonians looking to play a high defensive line tackle coming in. That was a good solid challenge there from Nathan Borrell. And again, it's a chance now for Heriots, and Ball just to opt to go towards Edwards. Edwards angles a crossfield left-footed kick that bounces once, just a fraction before finding touch there. And coming across there was Jamie Forbes, the Watsonians fullback. Could do little with that bouncing ball. Very good attacking kick there from Edwards. And Watsonians have the throw in just down below our commentary position, then between the 22 and the 10 metre line.
Yeah, fantastic early kick by Stuart Edwards there. He's got that left foot that he's very capable with, and getting a bit of territory for Heriots early on.
The throw in here for the Watsonians hooker, and our picture just now, Carl Davis looking at the options in the line. 5-6 jumpers. Now that floats all the way over the back there. He's picked up just the back of the line, and Watsonians again have got players round with Frostwick now. Just a little pop pass towards his left hand side as they try and get up towards the 10 metre line. Frostwick in again, having a look at options now. We'll come back towards the fly half, and Miller again just angling a long kick downfield. That caught in the sunshine there. Rory McMichael was a little unsure, made certain eventually, now goes on a little mazy run on the angle up towards that 15 channel across on the far side. The sun will play a factor in the contest. You can see a strip of the pitch in bright sunshine, winter sunshine here this afternoon. The referee penalising Watsonians there, just close towards the Heriots 10 metre line, and a chance for the home side to play the ball downfield with a scoreline of Heriots Rugby 0, Watsonians Rugby 0, just over 2.5 minutes on the clock. So we watch on here as Edwards is going to place this left-footed downfield. I'd imagine that Graham Wilson alongside me, I would imagine, Graham, that as the weeks go on, although this nucleus of the Heriot squad have come from the Premiership last season, you'll know a lot of phases, and you'll know a lot of the attacking structure that you're going to adopt in these games.
Yeah, this right now gives us good opportunity early on for a bit of set piece attack, and this is the sort of scenario the boys will be running through all week, so let's hopefully have something up their sleeves.
Johnston with the throw in, one there by Leishman in the second row, carried forward with some purpose now as Heriots again looking to perhaps create something on this occasion. Little pop pass there from Ball towards that right hand side. And again, Watsonians playing high defensive cover, pick and go once more just between that 10 and the 22. You can see the determination on the face. Ball goes in once more, aided forwards Leishman, just off the ball carrying player on this occasion. The ball's made available, but the referee has once more penalised Watsonians, penalised twice in the space of a minute there, and Heriots now suddenly find themselves in the Watsonians 22. Ball again just measuring the pass towards Edwards there, little intricate play there involving Robert Kay, starting centre inside. He was outside last weekend, wearing 12. This afternoon, Kay gets himself back in position as Watsonians have done well to scramble back possession of the ball, and right-footed played downfield there. They've got Miller and Forbes, are good kickers from hand. Watsonians, they were chasing that downfield, but that found touch just down a fraction inside the Heriots half of the field, near side as we watch, and it remains scoreless in this contest on a crisp mid-November Sunday afternoon with a healthy crowd inside Goldenacre watching this one. Little ball exchange there, instruction coming the way from Chris Keane to Ali Johnson there. Johnson just down below us with the throw in, aiming towards, see where he goes, towards the back of the line. Solid hands get up there, it's juggled, and Watsonians through Connor Boyle were able just to try and get some hands and possession in the ball. They've managed to win possession, and Frostwick again, this time a little box kick, that ricocheting of the hands there off Charlie Jupe, who was high up and allowing the possession to come back the way of Heriot's now. Edwards again angling a kick, and that goes back and is taken well by Lee Miller, the skipper of Watsonians. Miller then clears it right footed. Is that going to be a touch finder? That bounces a couple of times just over the head of the Heriot's left winger this afternoon, James Spencer. Spencer is able to offload to the fullback McMichael. McMichael then leathers it right footed, and it's gathered in open play. Returned with a bit of interest as Watsonians now ping it inside the Heriot's 22 back towards Edwards. Edwards then measuring a left footed kick on the angle once again. Miller underneath it, just pats it backwards before he can secure possession, and then again find a teammate, and it's his inside centre Joe Reynolds, who got one of the tries last weekend over at Millbury. A bit of a kicking contest just at the moment, as Heriot's now looking to run it up towards the halfway line, just on that 5 channel. Their ball carriers this afternoon, of course, Ian Wilson, we mentioned, starting at number 8, Jack Mann, and Scott Riddle also in the back row, confident with ball in hand at the moment. And it's taken on there, good spin and turn there from Charlie Duke. Now the offload is good and solid, and suddenly Heriot's now with their galloping major, Ian Wilson, down that left hand side, up and over the 10-metre line he goes, looking for some recycle ball here, and ball goes in on towards Edwards. He measures the pass into the inside centre Kay. It continues through the hands just on the halfway line at the moment, with 6.5 minutes of this first half gone. Offload there from McMichael out towards the right hand side. They've got Jack Blaine starting on the right wing across on that far side, looking to try and make inroads. Watsonians trying to keep a solid Marshall defensive line, as the latest pass there from Edwards found Rory Leishman as the initial ball carrier in the second row, with Charlie up this afternoon. Edwards will be the receiver of the pass there as play continues, but a good solid challenge coming in there from Roosberg, also in the score sheet down at the Green Yards against Southern Knights last weekend. Heriot still have it through their scrum half ball. Carrier this time is Leishman, up and just over halfway, ball in behind him. The fullback this time, McMichael, angles a crossfield kick. If that bounces nicely there, Jack Blaine was trying to read the bounce of the ball down that left hand side. An opportunity now, Guthrie gives chase, hacks the ball forward in the bright sunshine. Heriots have got 3-4 cover defenders back there just to slide on the ball and secure possession. In behind also is their scrum half, Alex Ball. Ball controls possession, and again the forwards will look to try and pick and go. Bring in our match summariser this afternoon, Graham Wilson. That was some good phases there from Heriots, but a good piece of opportunism, and a breakaway turned Watsonians' defence into attack quite quickly.
Yeah, it looks like Heriots are trying to play with a bit of width with the exciting back three that they've got in place. If that kick had gone to hand, I think Jack Blaine could have had a real run, but good interception by Angus Guthrie, and he's made some good ground for them.
Throw in will be taken across on that far side. Watsonians' Carl Davis is their starting hooker this afternoon. Nice to see quite a few spectators also just standing behind the thrower at the moment, watching on from the standing position opposite the main stand, those shielding their eyes in that bright sunshine. Again, it was juggled there. The Watsonians jumper was Hodgson, trying to get clean hands on the ball from his throw-in, but it was a Heriot's hand who clearly knocked the ball forward. I think it could well have been, looked as if Leishman was up jumping along with Hodgson there in the line. Perhaps a touch there from Leishman. Did a replay of this. There was Leishman, number 4, and just couldn't get a clean ball as the referee, Keith Allen, bringing play back for the latest set play. And although, Graham, these players will know each other so well, that there's still such an importance on trying to get your set play as good, as solid as possible, that you're not necessarily going to reach perfection, but if you've got a good solid scrum and line out, that's the basis for a good solid game.
Absolutely, you need to have a strong set piece to get the quality of ball to attack. This is Watsonians' first real opportunity, so it'll be interesting to see what they're looking to do.
Watsonians again, Frostwick just backing off his number 8 is Morgan Ennis. FOSROC again in towards the centre. Berg outside centre, carrying up towards the edge of the 22. FOSROC goes in. The cutting run from the left winger is Angus Guthrie, and Guthrie's up to within 4 metres now of this Heriot's line. The home side having to defend to a man just at the moment. That was spread out towards Morgan Ennis there. He couldn't gather the ball in clean, and Heriots are penalised for an offside decision. So Watsonians continue to pressurise the home team there, and the home side just under the cosh in the last couple of minutes with 10 minutes on the clock. Your thoughts there on this initial break? Good cover defence, but Watsonians had the second bite, did Jerry Graham?
Yeah, it was a great angle by Angus Guthrie coming in off his wing. He's such a dangerous player. Heriot's managed to cover it well, but I think just straight offside in the second phase attack.
Another set play inside the Heriot's 22, nearer side to the main stand, 15 metres or so in from touch, and about 5 metres from the Heriot's line. Keith Allen just giving the instructions to the players. The Watsonians player with the ball just in his right hand there is Ron FOSROC. Alongside him, Alex Ball. Starting scrum half for Heriots this afternoon, hands and hips, as Watsonians then tap and feed the ball into that scrum. Looking to complete it, begins to crumple. Referee Keith Allen just walking forward, but it's still good, and FOSROC again. Just a little offload to McPherson, the right winger, who came in towards his left hand side. The advantage is going to be played here, and Heriots managed to scramble just on the edge of their own try line there, forcing Watsonians back. It's a valuable period in the match for Watsonians just to try and get an early advantage, but the turnover has been secured, and Edwards then left-footed downfield, almost a collision there. McPherson and Forbes together, but it is Forbes now. He's got McPherson onto his right-hand side. McPherson a one-on-one situation. He's round his man and he's in for the score. A fine try for Watsonians. McPherson, fleet of foot there. He managed to round Alex Ball, the Heriot scrum half. And with 11, almost 12 minutes on the clock, it's Watsonians who take a 5-0 lead, Graham.
Yeah, it's a great counter-attack there by Watsonians. The kick chase maybe a little bit poor from Heriots, but Jamie Forbes is so dangerous when he's given that sort of space. He's made the initial break, been able to get the offload to Loman McPherson, who's with a fantastic finish.
McPherson, the try scorer, walking back with renewed purpose now, with almost 12 minutes on the clock. And he'll be delighted with the start that he has made, as it comes back now to the captain, Liam Miller, looking to convert the extra 2 points from just outside that 22 in between the 5 and 15 channels. A close-up of the ball just been placed on the tee. Still 1 or 2 spectators coming into the ground, the game having kicked off at 2 o'clock this afternoon. But of course, as we approach the festive period, there's a few other Sunday commitments on to juggle with rugby, but we're delighted to have your interest this afternoon. Joining us from Goldenacre as we're watching on, this is Lee Miller, the captain of Watsonians, looking to convert that McPherson try, and he does. Assured play there from the Watsonian skipper, and a lovely clean strike just drifting in between the sticks and over the bar, and it's Watsonians again. Graham, again, you talked about the understanding there, the strong running of Forbes, the offload, lovely fleet of foot, lovely turn, and almost like a slalom skier there. He was able to evade a couple of challenges coming in. McPherson in to score Watsonians' opening points.
Yeah, it was a lovely bit of footwork by Jamie Forbes, and it drew in the 2 defenders, and from that he was able to get that offload to Loman McPherson, and as you say, finished it really, really well.
So Miller with the conversion and McPherson with the try. 7 points to 0 at the moment. Heriots will look for a response, and Watsonians of course coming back from 12-0 deficit last weekend down at Southern Knights at the Green Yards in Melrose to win that game 13 points to 12. Of course, yesterday's, we mentioned, Ayrshire Bulls 32-27 winners against Boroughmuir Bears, and Stirling County's match with Southern Knights ending in a 24-all draw. Here Watsonians have the advantage as rising highest there. Leishman is winning the ball in the line out. This is an attacking opportunity for Heriots to try and get themselves right back on level terms soon after conceding those points. Johnston's throw-in is going to be important, so too the work of Ball as he carries there and offloads nicely, and it's carried up closer towards the 5 metre line. Ball again goes down the right hand side, trying to lend a hand there. Scott Riddle, the flanker, takes the ball also into contact. Riddle back to his feet, forwards now, just trying to rumble Watsonians back to within 5 metres of the try line. They're just short of the 5 metre line at the moment. There's a longer view of what is happening, and you can see now the forwards, just pods of three forming. In amongst it all as well, Dan Gamble, one of the starters. Remember, 7 of the 8 forwards starting for Heriot were either not included in the 23 or on the bench last weekend. Ball also not involved from the start, but is this afternoon. Little pass in towards the left hand side, and ball again sucks around his ankles, feeding it on towards Edwards. Edwards then with a little touch out towards the right hand side. Watsonians tackling, coming in, solid ball, trying to protect it there is Scott Robinson, outside centre for Heriot this afternoon, as ball has another little look on towards Edwards again. That pass again was just bouncing in front of the Watsonians forwards, and it's some turnover ball as Miller's able to belt it right footed downfield. That bounces a few times and giving chase now. Heriots have got covered defence here, cleared downfield again. That's a touch finder. That was simple play from Heriots just to ensure they would have Watsonians back almost in their own half of the field. McMichael just took his time, lifted his head up and cleared down towards that halfway line. And Graham Wilson, your thoughts on the opening now 16 minutes of this contest? Watsonians in front, having taken their chance.
Yeah, I think Watsonians' defence has been very strong so far. Heriots have probably had more of the possession, but real good wall of defence by Watsonians. Then they've taken their chances when they've had the ball.
And Carl Davis just gets a quick word there from Harrison Courtney, the starting loose head prop for Watsonians. That's secure in the middle of the line this time. Miller, little pass infield there, and it was taken a sore one there, Lewis Berg, and Watsonians forced backwards there as Edwards is one of the front line cover defenders there for Heriots. All coming together of a couple of the players off the ball, but that's nothing doing. They're back to their feet, and Watsonians will have it once more. Miller's kick is charged down there, a little bit of football being played. It's ricocheted 2, 3, 4 times there, and it was really Leishman in your picture, little wry smile as he thought he perhaps would have been clear inside the 22 there, trying to play it off his foot, he was saying, and it will come back for a scrum, and a Watsonians put in on the edge of the 22. Here's a replay, and Leishman in this situation, had he been able to gather and go, he would have been almost impossible to stop.
Yeah, great pressure by Rory to get that charge down from Lee Miller. I think he's claiming that it came off his foot rather than a knock on. I'm not entirely sure.
Seemed to bounce up and caught him the foot, the knee, the chest. There was a few ricochets before the ball then escaped the Watsonians defence and allowed Leishman to at least try and gallop away and gather. But by that time Keith Allen had blown for the infringement, and it is a Watsonians put in at the scrum, just on the edge of the 22. It's rolled in by FOSROC again, picked up there at number 8 by Morgan Innes, man of the match last weekend, down in the borders. He carries well up to within the 20 and the 22, out towards that left-footed kicker Joe Reynolds, who wallops one left-footed downfield. Again after it is McMichael playing at full-back, and a willing runner as well with wing experience, very much part of his game, up towards and just closer towards halfway as ball goes in. But this time Watsonians just forcing the ball on the deck as ball was going to try and play it. They're penalised going in off their feet, and Heriots will now have a chance just on the edge of halfway to force Watsonians on their heels.
Yeah, I think Stuart Edwards will be looking to get some good distance on the penalty here, and then either look for a driving line out or another set play from Heriots, give them a good opportunity to attack.
The Edwards kick then lands just on the edge of that 22, and another throw in just short of the 22 metre line over on that far side. Again, it's usually the loose head that has the throwing instruction for the hooker, and Ali Johnson just looking to throw the ball in here. Again, just one in the middle of the line, once more recycled and taken on this time by Robert Kay, who was a busy figure last weekend. Now suddenly an opportunity opens up here. McMichael taking the pass there from Lane, and McMichael's going to be in for a try, having conceded a score just 8 minutes ago. Heriots are able to hit back through their fullback, Rory McMichael, and Heriot's have got points on the board. Heriot's 5, Watsonians 7 as we approach the end of the opening quarter.
Well, that's one of these set plays that the boys have been working on throughout the week. Jack Blaine's hit a great angle to cut through, and then given the simple 2-on-1 to Rory Michael to run it in.
Michael then the try scorer, and if the extras are added, it will bring the game all square after what has been a pretty sharp opening 20 minutes. It's passed us by almost in the blink of an eye, and Alex Ball will be tasked with adding the extra 2 points from this conversion attempt, 5 or so metres in from touch, just outside that 22. He'll just line himself up, go through his kicking routine, just angled here. All the kickers have very much their own routines, don't they, Graham, in terms of how they like to address the ball and prepare, how they place them on the tee.
Yeah, Alex actually just taking over the kicking this week with Ross Jones having a rest, so he'll be looking to off to a good start here.
That's a clean strike. The home support like it. It's good, it's clean, it's true. And Heriot's Rugby are back on level terms. Heriot's Rugby 7, Watsonians Rugby 7. 20.5 minutes of the first half gone. And a bright opening by both these sides. So tries initially from Loman McPherson, and then moments ago Rory McMichael levelling the contest after the successful conversion, certainly from Alex Ball, brings the scoreline to 7 apiece. And it's taken there by Jack Mann. Mann is able to carry up towards the edge of the 22, and in behind him is Ball, now the scrum half with Edwards in position. Edwards receives it now through the line of runners there. Scott Riddle getting a touch to play the ball out towards his right hand side. Taken into contact again now, an escape and a darting run up here, and it's the outside centre. Scott Robinson taking it up towards that 10 metre line before he's eventually slowed up. That was a good break, good intelligence shown there from Robinson. That was spilled though, and it comes back on the Watsonian side. A little bit loose at the moment. Jamie Miller just goes scurrying after the ball at the moment. Comes quickly through the hands out towards this right hand side. The Watsonians try scorer Loman McPherson is eventually tackled though by Ian Wilson, the skipper of Heriot's. And Watsonians still have it. Little misunderstanding there from the scrum half, as Ron Foster was in quickly trying to get play going once again for a Watsonians team who will be disappointed to have conceded that score, with Heriot's pressure eventually paying dividends. But Watsonians will have the chance to play the ball downfield. I can see a Heriot's player just receiving a bit of treatment just down on the turf, just in front of us. He's back to his feet, and is Jack Mann that's picked up the knock there, and he's just hobbling down on the edge of the touchline. So I think Jack Mann is going to be perhaps the first player to be replaced, and certainly Graham has taken a sore one. He's actually now been helped. You can see him in the picture just now towards beyond the touchline, so that'll be a big loss to Heriot's at this stage in the game.
Yeah, it doesn't look too good for Jack there, which will be a bit of a worry for Heriot's, but looks like Jason Hill's getting himself ready to come on. He's a big player for Heriot's and has been for a number of years, so he'll look to come on and make an impact straight away. And
Hill again, somebody comfortable in that back row as a starting number 8, or can play 6 and 7 as well. He's just getting himself ready to come on the field of play. So from those on the bench for Heriot's, they can call upon the services of Michael Linus, Josh Scott, Callum Marshall, Struan Sesford, Andrew Simmers, Cameron Hutchison, Robbie Chalmers, and of course we mentioned Jason Hill, and Hill is stripped and ready on the touchline, and on he comes, number 19.
Yeah, there's a lot of experience in that Heriot's bench that I'm sure they'll look to call upon throughout the game. I know Phil Smith mentioned last week the impact that the bench had was big in that win over Ayr, so they'll be looking for the same sort of impact today, I'm sure.
Match about to restart with Edwards in possession. This will be a left-footed kick from between the 10 and 22 inside his own half of the field, angling the ball to take it down. Well, he's made sure of touch. It's not the longest of kicks from Edwards, who's a very assured kicker from hand, but that takes it over halfway, just short of that 10 metre line, and it will be a Heriot's throw-in. And Arnie Johnston, part of the new look front three for Heriot's this afternoon from their win last weekend against Ayrshire Bulls. Heriot's Rugby changing 7 of the 8 in the forwards, Again, that's coming off a Watsonian's hand and eventually gathered there by Connor Boyle and taken up closer towards halfway. Frostwick goes in, but the forwards carrying it a little bit further up towards the halfway line before the scrum half comes in. Works it through the hands of Miller out towards Berg there, the outside centre. Again hacked forward, finding touch across covering was Rory McMichael, but play works its way from right to left very quickly, and we've got another set play. And I guess, Graham, these set plays are going to become increasingly important as the match continues, especially because it's quite finely balanced as things stand with nearly 25 minutes gone.
Absolutely, and Watsonians put some good pressure there on the Heriot's line out, managing to nick one, so I think it was a good decision to put the kick down and then try and apply a bit more pressure to the line out here.
Over for the throw, and then Ali Johnston again taking the ball in to that line, and in behind you can see to the right is Ball. He'll now call for it as the Heriot's forwards are continuing to force Watsonians back down that left hand side, closer towards the 10 metre line, and that strip of late afternoon sunshine here at Goldenacre. Crisp afternoon in the capital. 7-all at the moment. Heriots in possession with Edwards. Edwards hoists a high one, the highest of the afternoon so far from the Heriots fly half. Underneath it, but juggling and couldn't gather there clean was Robert Kay. And it comes back now with Watsonians up towards halfway, and over the halfway line they go. It's the right winger and try scorer Loman McPherson, showing great purpose in his running. Cover defence was solid though this time by James Spencer. Hacked forward and gathered in the air and in for the score. An opportunism try there is Joe Reynolds. He scored last weekend in the narrow victory down at the Green Yards, and he's Watsonians back in front with just under 26 minutes gone, and you can tell he's delighted with that, taking the congratulations of his captain. And it's a try there for Joe Reynolds, a second of the afternoon for Watsonians. Let's have another look at this one.
That's a fantastic bit of skill by Joe Reynolds. He's finished that one off beautifully. Again, the initial attacks come from a kick by Heriots and not followed it up, and great counter-attack again by Watsonians. Obviously very dangerous in those positions. Delicate
kick there from the inside centre, Joe Reynolds, over the head, and the cover defence, Alex Ball just could not get to him. And Watsonians, well, that's 2 tries in the 2 matches he's played so far, the game in 26 minutes of a match. And Watsonians look again to their captain to add the extras. So that's McPherson and now Joe Reynolds on the score sheet for Watsonians. Miller then closer towards the touchline, just a couple of metres at most in from the main stand. Neil Hinnigan watching on, part of the Heriot's backroom staff, as Miller then just taking a long hard look down at the ball. Then Ginger run up, he's just sliced that one wide of the uprights there, flings the tee away. A bit disappointed with that effort, but Watsonians back in front by 12 points to 7. And here's another look at the score again. Wrestled to the ground there. It was an initial cover was the left wing, James Spencer. Then that little delicate hoisted kick there, and he measured that just to perfection. A little sand wedge in the golf course, and gathered clean ball round the Heriot scrum half and in for a Joe Reynolds try. And he certainly enjoyed the start to this new Super 6 competition with 2 scores so far to his name. The restart kick then up towards and just into that 22, and it is the aforementioned Reynolds, the try scorer, latest one that clears up just closer towards that 10 metre line over in the far side, and it will be a Heriot's throw in. And I guess Graham, Heriot's just look to respond in the same way they did when they went behind the first time round.
Yeah, they have to. It's a great finish by Joe Reynolds there, and Watsonians are really taking their chances when they've got ball in hand and taking those opportunities. Heriots will look to get some good line out ball here and see another of these set play attacks.
From the line this time, one in the air by Charlie Jupe, and a little stationary at the moment just beyond that 10 metre line. Heriots will perhaps look to rumble a little further before you can see the extras being applied there. Dan Gamble getting himself involved in the charge, so too the only replacement so far in the game, Jason Hill, on for Jack Mann. He'll certainly relish these opportunities as well, up against familiar opposition in the form of a city rival in Watsonians. And again, just into position, Hill making himself available, receiving the pass there from the scrum half. Ball, taking it into contact, planting it back, ball again, on towards Edwards. Edwards, little pass inside to Robert Kay, tries to sidestep a couple of challenges, eventually brought to ground there by Connor Boyle. Still on the edge of that 22, a few metres short of it just at the moment, as Hill once again takes the challenge around the ankles there from the Watsonians number 8, Morgan Innes. Ball in behind once again. Edwards has a long look towards the left hand side. This time it's Scott Robinson that evades the attentions first time round of the Watsonians on rushing defence. Watsonians in these darker jerseys with the white pinstriped hoops this afternoon, as the inside centre of Heriot's Robert Kay going on a solid run there up towards the 22. Edwards, delicate kick, chasing that one is Rory Leachman, again in a similar position to one he was in 5 minutes ago, and he couldn't go any further after the referee blew up for an infringement. Tackles coming in though as Watsonians secure possession of the ball, and their tight head prop Nathan Borrell just burrows into some Heriot's jerseys there. Last Heriot's player up on his feet is Robert Kay, involved in action a few moments ago. FOSROC again angles and gets into position for the high lofted box kick. Underneath it is James Spencer out towards Edwards. McMichael now has a little look at what's in front of him. He's eventually tackled short off halfway. He had Jack Blaine on that right hand side. He used Blaine here. Blaine it is in possession, but just almost caught up towards the halfway line, couldn't go any further. Edwards now has it inside the Heriot's half of the field as they measure a pass, and it's the replacement Jason Hill on this left hand side up towards the 10 metre line before he's eventually forced to ground. Ball goes in again, just having a look at his options towards the right hand side in this first half that's now 31 minutes old. McMichael maybe thought momentarily about the kick, but just continues the passage of play down that left hand side with James Spencer coming in off his wing. It's back towards Edwards. Here's a look at what's down that left hand side, chasing across field. Ball bounces into touch there. Again, that was asking Jamie Forbes a lot there. He was trying to measure his run to see if he could gather before it found touch, but a lot of pace on that crossfield kick from Edwards, and that's something very much part of his game.
It's another lovely tactical kick by Stuart Edwards there. I think Heriot's had gone through a few phases. Stuart had seen they're not really going anywhere, so get the boot on it, get down there.
Cal Davis then just having a little look at again what's in front and waiting the instruction from Harrison Courtney, who gets himself back towards the front of the line. And Watsonians again will want to make sure this pays dividends. It's one there in the middle of the line by Jamie Hodgson, and Watsonians again, remember, leading by 12 points to 7 with 8 minutes of the first half left to play. Box kick from FOSROC, and that's floating in towards touch just down the main side there. No easy early throw in for James Spencer, the Heriot's left winger, and it will be the organised line out with Heriot's throwing in. We've got Ali Johnson, Dan Gamble and Chris Keane as their starting front row this afternoon, and it is Keane just removing the gum shield with the instruction going the way of Ali Johnson with the throw. Johnson then thrown again towards the middle of the line, played down and brings in ball. Again increasingly getting himself involved in the contest is Jason Hill, very well known figure around these parts, having served the club well over a number of years. Further carried forward there by Heriot side, looking to try and get themselves back at least in level terms before the interval. Watsonians will want to remain solid defensively to protect and even perhaps build on their 12-7 lead if opportunities come their way before we reach half time, but play is brought back for an incident there. I think that is just a word from the referee once, twice. Morgan Innes just in conversation with him at the moment, the Watsonians number 8. Okay, a tackle on a player who is not in control of the ball at the time, and Heriot's Graham are going to go for the posts here. Another opportunity for Alex Ball to show us what he can do with the ball from the tee.
Yeah, he struck the first one lovely, so hopefully see him again and bring them back to within 2 points. I think we've seen already the impact that Jason Hill's had when he carries ball into contact. He's such a big lad, he's going to get you over that gain line every time.
Well, then just placing the ball on that staggered 10 metre line. 40 metres is probably almost in line with the right hand post as you look at them. socks wrapped around the ankles, and just adjusting the shots, as I say, going into that pre-kicking routine as the ball's on the tee, and now it's within his range. Of course, as Graham was saying, recently taking over the kicking duties for this week. He's got plenty of height on it. Is the angle good? It is indeed. First penalty goal of the afternoon brings Heriot to within 2 points of Watsonians. Heriot's Rugby 10, Watsonians Rugby 12.
Another great strike by Alex, and that's going to give him plenty of confidence. 2 from 2 in this first half, and brings Heriot back to within 2 points.
10 points to 12 then, with a Alex Ball penalty, having converted the try scorer Rory McMichael, the fullback, 2 Watsonians tries, McPherson and Joe Reynolds. Lomond McPherson and Joe Reynolds on the score sheet in this first half. A first half that is just over 5 minutes left to play. Taken with purpose again. Forbes takes it into a contact situation with 2 Heriot's players there. And Frostwick again on towards Miller. Miller towards the inside centre. Joe Reynolds, the second of the try scorers for Watsonians so far this afternoon. Out on that left hand side, scurrying after it is Frostwick again, bringing Carl Davis, the hooker, into an open situation where he can run into Heriot's jerseys once more. Looks left and right, but Frostwick plays the ball towards the right hand side. Edwards taken on this time by Jamie Hodgson. Once again, Watsonians look to recycle. This would be an opportunity, goes a begging for Watsonians on this occasion, as they've been penalised taking the ball into contact, not initially releasing, and then when it was released, I think the infringement was for not releasing the ball, certainly. As looking down at the match referee, who was certainly given the penalty against Watsonians, and Edwards is now angling a left-footed kick from just short of that 10-metre line down towards and just over the halfway line to the 10 inside the Watsonians half, and suddenly Heriots have a chance to attack and build on the 10 points they've accrued so far in the first half, now 36 minutes old.
Looked like the skipper Ian Wilson getting the turnover there and earning his side the penalty. He's so strong in that area of the game, so they'll be looking to get a good attacking opportunity here right before half time.
The throw in once again will be Ali Johnson's, and Johnson towards the back of the line. That was looping highest and over the back there, taking it to ground there was Captain Ian Wilson, and in behind him is Ball finds Charlie Jupp. Ball back to his feet once again, on towards Edwards. Edwards, the little reverse pass, bringing in the left winger this time, James Spencer, off his wing, down in a central position. That breaks down and is back now with Forbes, the fullback for Watsonians. Out towards the right hand side, Lomond McPherson. One or two maybe crying that was a shade forward there, but McPherson has got some free ground to run into before tackled, and in behind him is Frostwick, taken on this time by Jamie Hodgson in open play, showing his power and good running style, and so too Nathan Borrell. And also back towards Miller, a flatter kick this time from Miller. McMichael is back with it. McMichael is able to gather, and McMichael ahead of steam on him. Solid challenge coming in there from Morgan Innes, the Watsonians number 8 on McMichael. Ball in behind again, looking to get on with things quickly. And it's taken on a little nice delicate pass in from Leishman towards the right hand side, as Heriots are now up towards halfway. Ball again, gets it the second time of asking, found a little gap, couldn't just get through that Watsonians defensive door. That was very quickly closed in the Heriots scrum half. He's back to his feet just at the moment. Ball now playable, he squats down and thought about maybe the box kick, but the obvious choice for him was to bring Dan Gamble into play. This time he has a little look to where Edwards is positioned. Edwards not for the first time from that 10 metre line, angling a kick left footed, but underneath it Watsonians have cover and it's cleared. Right footed downfield. Michael watches the ball going into touch. Chasing the runner back there was the player who played the ball right footed downfield in the first instance, Jamie Forbes, and the ball just going into touch just down below us with a minute and a half of this first half left to play. It remains Heriot Rugby 10, Watsonians Rugby 12.
Yeah, as the scoreline suggests, it's a very tight affair. Both teams looking to try and generate quick balls so that they can unleash the dangerous backlines that they have. But the forwards, the tacklers, doing a good job at slowing that up at the moment.
And it's almost winning the ball at the line. And the referee did penalise Watsonians, or has penalised Watsonians there for the infringement. And last to get to his feet there was Rory Leishman. Towards the back of the line was the second row forward. And
Blue playing the man in the air.
Watsonians playing Leishman in the air, penalised for that, as Heriot's now through Edwards again. Will use his left foot to good effect. Down towards the 22 it goes. And this perhaps the final attacking opportunity in the first 40 minutes for Watsonians to get further points on the board. For Heriots, I should say, to get further points on the board. Watsonians protecting a 2-point lead just at the moment. 12 points to 10. Attacking throw in here for Heriots. Referee just not quite happy with the gap. Heriots just closing in on that metre allowed before the referee. Keith Allen now happy, and it's thrown in by Johnston towards a portion of jumpers in the middle of the line. And again Heriots now looking to get a maul formed here as the ball is tucked under Johnston's left arm, and Johnston still in control of the ball. You can hear the hooter sounded, so we've reached the 40-minute mark, and Watsonians just on their heels just now as Heriots continue to drive with some purpose, trailing by 2 points, looking to get a try or some score to take them in front at half time. We've heard the hooter. Last man just going to the ground there was Jason Hill. Comes back towards ball now. Ball towards Edwards. Edwards cross-field kick in the air. Underneath it, Jack Blaine trying to measure it, but it's been won well in the air by Watsonians, taking it in the air. The referee is going to bring play back because that was free ball. And Edwards, you could tell that he was just angling that crossfield kick with an opportunity to bring his winger into play, but back they will come for a set play 15 metres in from touch on this near stand side.
The driven line out is so important for Heriots. Last week at Millbrae, you saw it in good effect there again today, and Watsonians giving away the penalty gives Heriots another chance.
Holmes did win that ball well in the jump, the competition there to win the ball with Jack Blaine coming in at a full head of steam, but Heriots will have another opportunity. That was free ball advantage, and just watching on now as Edwards from close towards the touchline, it'll be just delicate left foot kick just to ensure it goes into touch there.
Put them on the line. You guys are on the 5.
Throw in. Ali Johnson just coming over once
down,
more
guys.
to throw the ball in down to our left hand side, as the spectators in the main stand just craning their necks to the left to watch the action here. Closing stages then of the first half. This is the last chance for Heriots to get points, further points before half time. They've got a real charging maul on here. Keith Allen got a solid view of it and then gives the score. And that maul we talked about, that drive, the forwards power paying dividends for Heriots right on the stroke of half time. 15 points to 12. And Watsonians certainly pleading their case, but Heriots will be delighted to take a lead into the interval.
Forwards coach Finlay Gillis will be absolutely delighted with that. I know it's something they've worked on a lot in training. They showed it last week and they've shown it again today, how important it can be for them. I think it was possibly Scotty Riddle with his hands on the ball there at the end.
Just a way to ask you who you thought it would be. It's difficult to identify just exactly who had touched the ball down, but Riddle was certainly getting the congratulations from a number of his teammates there. But a real forwards, well organised forwards driving try, and Watsonians will be disappointed to have leaked that one right at the end of this first half. 15 points to 12. Ball looking to add a further 2 points just to give Heriots a increased cushion of 5 points going into half time. Here he goes then, little back step, angles the kick, drifting round, no problems at all. Converted score brings this first half to a close. 17 points to 12. So 2 Watsonian scores, Lomond McPherson and Joe Reynolds. Twice they were in front in the contest, but Heriots responding. Rory McMichael with good back play, ending in the full-back running and inside the 22 on the angle. Powerful run to score Heriot's opening try of this match, and the second score, the score that's effectively given them the advantage at half-time, coming right at the tail end of the first half. Scott Riddle scoring, converted by the scrum half Alex Ball. There is our half-time score. Heriot Rugby 17, Watsonians 12. So plenty for the home supporters and those visiting from nearby Watsonians from my side to cheer about and to get enthused about in this first half. Graham, your overall impressions of the first 40 minutes?
I think it's been a really great first half. A lot of quality rugby on show. You see that from the tries that have been scored. Both teams have really dangerous players in their back three, so it's about trying to get the ball into their hands early, and you can see what they can do already in that first 40 minutes.
Let's have a look at some of the standout moments then in the opening 40 minutes. Of course, 4 tries to tell you about, and Heriot's at this stage under a bit of pressure on their own try line. The kick there initially from the fly half there downfield, Stuart Edwards, then great interchanging play, first to fullback Forbes and then McPherson showing power, and you can see there Forbes with the right hand in the air celebrating the try from McPherson. But Edwards kicked the 2, the 15 and the 14, gathered the ball together in the air, worked very well. Initially Forbes with the break, McPherson with the try at the opening score. Edwards involved this time in an attacking sense here, a fine angled run ending in McMichael crossing the try line just a couple of minutes after Watsonians had scored. Heriots then found themselves very much back in the game, but this interchange was absolutely key, Graham, to Heriot scoring their first try of the game.
Yeah, I think Heriots will look to get Jack Blaine involved a bit more in the second half. You could see how dangerous he was there on the ball. He was able to put Rory in for that try.
Here's McPherson again showing what he's all about. Loman McPherson setting up again Watsonians. Lovely delicate kick there from Joe Reynolds, the kick and chase, and it had to be perfectly weighted. It was. You can see the delight on his face, just almost off the back of his foot there, and he's watching the ball in full flight, rounding the challenge coming in from Alex Ball and lunging for the line. He was a happy man. Watsonians at that stage then were back in front and had 12 points on the board. It was a missed conversion. This a penalty goal from Alex Ball from 40 metres out to bring the score to 10-12 in favour of Watsonians. He's got decent range, and to have a group, a nucleus of good kickers in your squad's important, Graham.
Yeah, absolutely. Ross Jones is so reliable, but with him not playing, it's great to have someone like Alex who 100% in this half so far.
And there's the final score right at the very end of the first half. Maul created, coming in there and well, the backs, including, you could see James Spencer, Robert Kay also in there, but by the time Kay had joined in, it looked as if it was Scott Riddle who touched down. Smiles on the faces of the back row forwards and the spectators watching on as well. Warm applause. So 4 tries in certainly an entertaining first 40 minutes here. Another glimpse of the Edinburgh skyline with Arthur Seat and Salisbury Crags very much standing out in this mid-November afternoon. Plenty of interest. Some spectators, it has to be said, that are all the way over from Ontario, Canada, here this afternoon to take in this one. And we've got a 15-minute interval at half-time, and we've time to show you a close-up, an in-depth look on Watsonians Rugby.
Andrew Chalmers, Watsonians Rugby, the winger. This will be probably my 6th or 7th season at the club, so I've kind of seen it in the Nat 1 days and then obviously getting promoted to Premiership. And I think securing the Super 6 position was crucial for the club, really, just to keep growing as it has been over the last few years. So definitely for me it's a big deal. Really big deal for me to be involved in that, but also I'm sure for the club. So my debut was in Gala down in Netherdale. I was coming off the bench. I actually came off the bench to swap with Marcus DeRolle at the time, so he was player coach at the time. I'd watched him on TV a lot, so even just that in the first place was quite a big deal. And it was a snowy day actually, and obviously the pitch was fine, but it was snow all around. We didn't win, however, but it was just a massive deal for me to get on the pitch in the first place, and especially who I was kind of swapping with was quite that was quite a big moment for me.
Pretty massive pre-season in terms of length. How did it feel to actually get out there and play some rugby?
It's brilliant, to be honest. I think, as you say, that was a long stint, kind of just training and just going through them as much training as possible at that point. But to actually put all that practice into a match was pretty good. It was good to finally get out there, and we'd had our warm-up games, which were great practice for it, but there's nothing like the real thing, and especially with our first ever kind of Super6 match for the club and also for Melrose. I'm sure it was great. We got off to a pretty slow start, to be honest. There was just a lot of mistakes happening, and to come away with only kind of 6 points down at half-time, we're probably pretty lucky. They had a lot of breaks and maybe didn't capitalise on a few at the time, which we got away with, but we did kind of scramble back, and I think that's probably down to a bit of the amount of training and fitness that we've done. But that just simply kind of regather our thoughts half-time, and yeah, we kind of came out flying and just managed to keep the ball for a few more phases, and that seemed to be it, just to get those 2 tries, which was brilliant.
Did you feel an increase in quality and intensity between both teams?
I would say so, yeah. I know obviously we've kind of gained some players this year, some really strong players from some other clubs, and that in itself has risen the kind of level of the teams. Similar with Melrose, I'm sure they've gained a few, but they had a pretty similar squad to what they've had in the last few years, but obviously that squad's been pushing for titles for a few years now, so it definitely felt a level up, just a bit quicker and just more accurate in terms of that as well, so no, it was great.
Strap yourself in, folks.
The Scottish head-to-head.
What a stunning start it has been for Edinburgh.
And the 1872 Cup is going to find its way back to the capital.
So I'll look at what is still to come in the professional game there, a wee glimpse of the upcoming Edinburgh-Glasgow doubleheader around the festive period. Also just a reminder of the Scottish Rugby podcast, which is becoming increasingly popular listening, and the Super 6 very much part of their thoughts on a weekly basis. Heriot Rugby then leading by 17 points to 12 at half time, and this is the second of our Sunday live streamed fixtures. Remember, we'll always be following a Super 6 match on a Sunday afternoon, your chance to view online, and of course many spectators here this afternoon, young and more experienced, those that have been through it and watched their side in the Premiership in years gone by, and others that will be influenced by the successes and the skills of the players that they're watching out on the pitch this afternoon, I'm sure. And Edinburgh enjoying a very pleasant Sunday afternoon here, as it's very clear overhead and making for pleasant conditions out there on the playing surface. And Graham, it's worth mentioning as well that, you know, we're into mid-November. There's been an awful lot of rain falling over the September, October and the middle of November where we are just now, but the pitch is an excellent nick, it has to be said.
Yeah, the groundsman at Heriot's a fantastic job. The pitch is always in really good condition. He's very protective of it. Not even allowed to walk across it on a Tuesday or Thursday night when you head out for training.
Just got a glimpse there of some spectators watching on from a block of flats that are just to the left hand side. Just got a good view down the full pitch, and they've certainly got a pleasant view from their balcony. And this half-time 15-minute segment drawing to a close for these players. Just a reminder of the scorers in that first half. Loman McPherson scoring along with Joe Reynolds in that back line for Watsonians. Responses from Heriot's coming first through Rory McMichael, and then a second try. Scott Riddle, we understand, touching down, and Alex Ball has certainly been successful with the boot as well. 2 conversions and a penalty goal. And I'm sure Super 6 is very much part of these conversations as the respective clubs go forward during the course of the season, with playoffs in March. And that inaugural prize is going to be very important, Graham, you know, and not just in terms of bragging rights, but in a club's history to be able to be the first Super 6 winners. Be nice to have.
Absolutely, with it being a new competition, all 6 clubs will want to be the first one to get their hands on that. From the opening 2 weekends, it's been really tight. I think the standard's been very good, and some close competitive matches.
I think pretty much safe to say it's the dogs and dog walkers alike very much enjoying the atmosphere around Goldenacre this afternoon. So we're just about to get this second half underway, and it will be Watsonians first out of the tunnel. Disappointed to have conceded so late in that first half. The respective team talks, I mean, I'd imagine both sets of coaches will have had plenty of positive feedback for their players as well, but they're still at this stage looking to iron out several creases in their respective sides' play.
I think from a Heriot's point of view, I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe look to play a little bit more territory through Stuart Edwards' boot, and maybe try and get that driven line out back in action.
So at half-time in the FOSROC Super 6 second live stream match this Sunday afternoon at Goldenacre, Heriot Rugby lead Watsonians by 17 points to 12. There's Watsonians out for the start of the second half in their huddle, and Heriot Rugby now led out by their fly half there on the screen, Stuart Edwards. First out the changing rooms, just behind him Robert Kay, and also the fullback Rory McMichael. They're out. A real din around Goldenacre this afternoon. No changes at the moment, but we do see stripped and ready to come on the field of play, Callum Marshall. So he'll take to the field. I believe he is actually now going to start this second half for Heriots, as of course they made a change in that first half. Jason Hill coming on, an injury sustained to Jack Mann. Ian Wilson is the player that makes way for number 20, Callum Marshall. So Marshall it is who will start in that back row. Ian Wilson started the match at number 8, having played as blindside flanker last weekend through in that win at Millbrae. And of course Watsonians did come from behind 13 points to 0 down at Melrose in the match against Southern Knights last Saturday afternoon to win that 14-13 in the end. Here though it is Heriots through Edwards working their way from left to right in the second half, protecting that margin of 5 points, but a good solid challenge coming in there immediately from Angus Guthrie as ball again finds Edwards. Edwards hoists a high kick left-footed underneath that one, just avoiding a cameraman there as the Watsonians captain Lee Miller. The ball found touch just on that 10-metre line, and immediately we have a set play in this second half, and it's going to be a throw-in going the way of Watsonians. Carl Davis, and just taking his time, taking the instruction now that comes from Harrison Courtney, so he'll know what to expect from the jumpers. And again goes towards the middle of the line. FOSROC just took his eyes off it just ever so slightly, but gathered there by Connor Boyle. FOSROC goes in once again. The ball is eventually played back to the scrum half. Pod of three forms, begins the drive. FOSROC again goes in, looks for Miller. Miller just feeding the ball inside there, taken on by the outside centre Baird just on the angle. FOSROC again has a look towards his right hand side, spreading it from this left hand side across towards the right, just short of that 10-metre line. Recycled and taken on there by the number 8 Morgan Ennis, who immediately offloads, and the ball runner, I think it was the hooker that took it on there, Carl Davis. Grubber kick comes in, McMichael's behind it though, and he hoists a high one down this Heriot's right hand side in the second half. Miller is underneath it, is able to find Forbes. Forbes floats a kick over towards that far side. Underneath it was the left winger there, James Spencer, and Spencer has time just to measure a kick down, taking it over that 10-metre line across on the far side. We've now played exactly 2 minutes of the second half, and Heriot's Rugby remain 17-12 in front. And here are the thoughts in the early stages of Graham Wilson.
It was good to see Heriot's looking to have a bit of a go from the kick-off, then another excellent exit by Stuart Edwards, but it's been a fairly cagey start from both sides in the second half.
Yeah, tentative opening, couple of minutes or so, with another throw-in opportunity here for Watsonians and for Carl Davis. Davis again, this time it's won by Jamie Miller towards the back of the line. Lovely offload there from FOSROC, and now Watsonians are up inside that 22, looking for some quick momentum here. McPherson involved, so too FOSROC. The inside centre is Joe Reynolds, one of the try scorers. He backs off as the run continues there, and Watsonians looking to make this playable. Again it comes back through the hands of FOSROC. It was the hooker, Carl Davis, that couldn't gather the ball in as he came flying onto that one. But the advantage, I think, for a high tackle has been and gone, and play will come back closer towards that 10-metre line.
Okay, it's a high tackle by number 3 White.
3 White is the referee. Well, that's Dan Gamble, who's been penalised for a high challenge. Miller immediately just prodding the kick right-footed across field into that 22 over on that far side, and the Watsonians faithful now getting behind their side, who trail just by a margin of 5 points. But a bright opening for the visitors here at Goldenacre in the 3.5 minutes we've played of this second half. Remember yesterday afternoon, Ayrshire Bulls 32, Boroughmuir Bears 27, and a 24-all draw between Stirling County and Southern Knights. So Watsonians of Heriot's a winner here. We top the table after 2 rounds of fixtures. Jamie Hodgson does well to win the ball in the line. FOSROC now just gets himself into position, but the forwards just continue to try and rumble on. Just at the back there is Carl Davis. Heriot's now just to try and force them. Splinter runner there is the hooker Davis, but he was caught just 5 metres short of the line. Makes the ball playable, and again the pod of forwards just tried to carry on the angle. Once they go again, Heriot's solid challenges coming in right at the thick of it. Is Leishman on defensive duties here as the ball carrier Nathan Borrell is able to plant the ball back. Now FOSROC again on towards Miller. Miller prods one through. There's a little gap, but it's shepherded back there. You can see Reynolds was very much alert to that, but some good solid defensive cover there from Heriot's. And Graham, you'll appreciate the efforts of the Heriot's defence, and in particular there Jack Blaine, who again was hot of his toes there and just protecting the ball and preventing Joe Reynolds in for his second score.
Yeah, some good solid defence by Heriot's, and Jack doing well to cover there, being alert to the wee kick through. Looks like it was a penalty advantage to Watsonians, so I think they'll have another go from the driven line out here.
Wait till they're done, guys.
Quite often that's
Come from
when you're given the penalty advantage, you'll bring in your fly half to float a cross-field kick or play a little grubber, knowing that you can come back from that resulting line out with Jimmy Hodgson in possession, having won the ball in the air. And again, the forwards begin the drive on again. Just at the back there is Carl Davis, looking ever so threatening with the ball tucked under his right arm. FOSROC now, the outside centre taking it on. That's Lewis Berg, who did score last weekend down in the Borders. This time Watsonians are halted just 5 metres short of the line. Again they come back the way of Leach. The second row forward carries well on towards Miller. Miller again. Reynolds tries to find a gap. Blaine, another tackle from him just to slow up the inside centre. Recycled once more. Taken on by Carl Davis, running into further Heriot's jerseys. Pressure continues. Watsonians backline sense of an opportunity perhaps to get themselves back on level terms, trailing as you see by 17 points to 12. 6 minutes gone in the second half. Miller out towards this left hand side, and Watsonians with strength are able to breach the line for a third time. Angus Guthrie this time is in the corner, and Watsonians are indeed back on level terms. 17 points all with 6 minutes of the second half gone.
Some great patience by Watsonians in attack there. The Heriot's defence clustered around the ruck. A couple of good wide passes, and Angus Guthrie is a great finisher from that sort of area.
So Joe Reynolds, Angus Guthrie and McPherson. There's a replay of the try, getting a measured pass, taken on there. Guthrie getting the challenge coming in, the tackles just not slowing up the left-footed winger. The last man, Jack Blaine, was over to try and literally flatten him, but he'd already grounded the ball by the time the right winger had covered back. And we're watching now as Miller looks to add the extra 2 points here. Lee Miller, the Watsonian skipper. This would give Watsonians the advantage. They've been in front a few times in the game now, 47 minutes old. Miller then just palms of hands alongside his hips there as he tries to angle and drift one in. It's just wide of that left hand post. So we've a match level pegging at 17 points all, and that's very much been a feature of the competition so far. Many close matches in the opening round of fixtures last weekend, and similarly yesterday, and much the same here this afternoon, Graham.
Yeah, been a great game so far, and just having another look at the try, as I said, Angus Guthrie, a very good finisher from that sort of range. It's Heriot's ill discipline that's allowed Watsonians to get into these areas, and they've taken their chance well.
Watsonians with the 3 tries. Heriots have scored through 2 tries, Riddle and McMichael. So we've enjoyed 5 so far in the game. No cards to speak of, which has also been welcome. It's been an Edinburgh derby with bragging rights, but it's more than that, more than just getting the upper hand on a team you know so well from your own city. And tempers have certainly been simmering at times, but nothing more than that, as it's a throw in here for Ali Johnson and for Heriots. The referee again is looking to open up the gap. He doesn't want to penalise Watsonians, giving them the benefit of the doubt again to keep a nice gap in between 2 sets of players. Again, Watsonians now trying to gather the ball in. Comes Brian Leach, is able to gather the ball, and this time he feeds it towards Borrell, having received the pass there from FOSROC. FOSROC then again, a high up and under then from Miller, and that's going to be underneath it. McMichael it is that takes the ball. Little offload there, solid challenge coming in as he was about to offload, and Watsonians unable to make hay with that particular opportunity that came their way. The referee, Keith Allen, had already whistled on the challenge, and Heriots will have the opportunity from the set play outside their 22 to gain some ground downfield, with the scoreline of Heriots 17, Watsonians 17, with almost 50 minutes showing on the clock. And the sun beginning to set over the capital, casting long shadows out there on the pitch. And another put in here for Alex Ball, who's acquitted himself very well, coming in at number 9, acting as a good goal kicker and a very solid scrum half as well.
Bind. Set. Get that elbow up, please.
Rolling the ball in there as the Heriots scrum half, Alex Ball, then picked up their number 8 position. Well, that I knew, of course, number 8 Jason Hill taking on those number 8 duties, having come off the bench for the injured Jack Mann, just rejigging things slightly with Ian Wilson also making way for Callum Marshall in that Heriot side. Ball again, Edwards has it, clears halfway, and Watsonians have men underneath it, including this man here, Loman McPherson, already got a try, taking it thundering into contact there on the edge of the 22. Offload comes down this right hand side. Suddenly Heriot's looking to play a grubber kick through Morgan Ennis, their number 8, and I should say Watsonians it was there going down. Heriot's on their back, their toes defensively, so too Watsonians, but it was the Watsonians number 8 Morgan Ennis working his way down that right hand side. Good grubber kick. The free kick though has been signalled by the referee inside the Heriot's 22, and they can play the ball downfield just short again, almost equidistant between the 22 and the 10 metre line, and Heriot's will have an opportunity again from this line out. What have you made of the opening now 10 minutes? You said it was a little bit untidy in this second half so far. We've played now 10 minutes of the second period. It will in fact be a Watsonians throw in there, and Watsonians will have the throw. I think the touch judge out crossing that far side had originally signalled a Heriot's throw in, but it goes the way of Watsonians. We'll get Graham's thoughts in just a minute as we watch Miller then gathering. That's a mark called by the Heriot's left winger James Spencer, eager to get on with things. 17 all at the moment. Edwards again has it, 2 men to his right hand side. Ball carrier is Scott Riddle, one of the try scorers, takes it up towards just beyond that 22 metre line as Heriot's are just forced back just a little bit, but Riddle continued to try and carry well. Edwards just measures the pass eventually. That's taken Scott Robinson, gathered the ball around his head there, and it dropped down towards his feet, and it provides Watsonians now with another set play opportunity courtesy of that knock on just outside the 22. It remains 17 all. Here's another view of this. Edwards just delaying the pass ever so slightly, but it was a little bit high, and Scott Robinson wouldn't have necessarily thanked his fly half for that one.
No, I don't think so. Heriot's have found themselves under a bit of pressure in this half so far. Watsonians certainly got the upper hand in possession and territory so far, and I think Heriot's a bit of frustration coming into the play there. Wee errors creeping in.
Cameron Hutchison has come on in the 52nd minute of the match, and that looks as if it's a change involving Scott Robinson, who has made way for Hutchison in the backs for Heriot's. As we watch on, this Watsonians put in at the scrum with Rowan Frostwick. Then we'll slip the ball into the scrum. That seemed to come out almost at the corner of the scrum. Frostwick is able then to find Miller. Miller then with the pass infield, and the left winger is Angus Guthrie, scoring the third try for Watsonians this afternoon to bring them back level at 17 points all. Frostwick eager to get on with it. Little pick out towards that right hand side. Again, players jockeying for position on the edge of the 22 as Frostwick picks up once more. Just had the slightest glance towards his left hand side before unleashing there Carl Davis, who's carried well and made a few metres, the hooker. Now it's taken on again by a pod of 3 that's formed out on that right hand side before Frostwick finds Davis again. Solid challenges coming in by those players in Heriot's jerseys, trying to just stem the tide at the moment. It's very much going the way of Watsonians, and Hodgson carries as Frostwick again out towards his right hand side. Space was made available, and Loman McPherson is in for his second try, and that is a 4th for Watsonians this afternoon, and they're back in front once again, 22 points to 17, and Loman McPherson, he timed his run. It was good work as well from the scrum half, Rowan Frostwick. Good ball retention from Watsonians. They spread it into that 22, and there you can see initially good carrying from Hodgson, but Graham, we'll watch on here, Frostwick, a little glance, delayed ball, McPherson just had enough room to run in. Heriot's defence were drawn infield, McPherson in for his second of the game.
It's been a really strong start to the second half for Watsonians. They'll be delighted with those 2 tries. Again, similar to the last one, they used the forwards to suck in the defenders and then create that space out wide, and second try for Loman McPherson.
So McPherson on the score sheet for a second time this afternoon, and Heriot's again looking, I think, to make further changes. Just at this stage I can see 16 and 18 have come on. That's Michael Linus and Struan Sesford, as there's just a little delay in proceedings, but I think the signal is good for Miller now. You can see how close he is to the touchline there. That's drifting just wide of the uprights, but it means that Watsonians remain in front by 22 points to 17. And the side that were winners away from home last weekend by the narrowest of margins down at Southern Knights have a 5-point lead. And you can see there a try bonus as well, having scored 4 tries in the game so far. 2 for McPherson, 1 for Joe Reynolds, Angus Guthrie as well. So the 2 wingers on the score sheet along with the inside centre. And coming racing onto that one, early touch there for, I think that was number 20, who's immediately in action, Callum Marshall. As again plays just on the edge of the 22 at the moment. FOSROC brings it back. Watsonians kick his charge down. That was the Joe Reynolds off his left boot there. But comes back towards Miller. Miller, at the second time of asking, is able to hoist it long, and that was gathered on that left hand side by James Spencer. Heriot's now in a hurry, not surprisingly. Lovely weaving run from Spencer up towards almost that 10-metre line, looking to recycle, but Watsonians already penalised, and back they will go from their own 10-metre line. Heriots will look to try and respond immediately. They themselves have scored tries in the game through Scott Riddle and through Rory McMichael. We've enjoyed 6 in the game so far, and Watsonians lead by 22 points to 17. Watsonians penalised for a high challenge, and Heriots have looking to make further changes, stripped and ready to come on. Robbie Chalmers down there, also Andrew Simmers. So Heriots, Graham, pretty much emptying the bench, having conceded that try bonus point.
Yeah, they'll be looking for a big impact from these boys coming on. The likes of Cessford and Linus are experienced, as is Callum Marshall. And Andrew Simmers coming on, hopefully the cool head, and help enjoy proceedings.
An uncharacteristic mistake there from Stuart Edwards. He didn't quite get the right angle on the kick, and it was a touch finder there. Just a little shake of the head as it'll come back for a set play. He'll be disappointed with that, because that was a one that's really bread and butter to the starting number 10 for Heriots.
Yeah, it's not like him, and he's kicked really well out of hand today. Also, Heriots will read that as a missed opportunity. If he'd been able to get a good touch finder, they've got that driven line up their sleeves that they're able to use to such good effect.
Just having a look at the changes then that Heriots are making, and how the personnel will just change. One of the replacements there, Alex Ball, has just come off, been handed a big Warren jacket to wear for the remainder of the game. He's acquitted himself very well, both as the archetypal scrum half, but also a good goal kicker as well. And the referee just not entirely satisfied with this scrum, Watsonian scrum. Edwards just hands and hips, just an exchange there with Cameron Hutchison, one of the replacements as well. And I would imagine Robbie Chalmers, again, like all the players on the bench, eager just to get themselves involved in the game as quickly as possible. On this right hand side, of course, Jack Blaine, the starting right winger, has been busy in defence in this second half, with Watsonians scoring 2 tries since the interval. 22 points to 17, approaching the hour mark in the game. A shrill blast from the referee's whistle as Heriots are penalised in the scrum, and Watsonians from their own 10 will be able to get further downfield, and Edwards will really rue that missed opportunity. Had he found touch from hand, it could have been a different story for Heriots, but as things stand, they only trail by 5 points at the moment, and Watsonians launching one downfield left-footed through Joe Reynolds, and it's a good touch finder there for the Myerside men down closer towards that Heriots 22.
The Heriot scrum will be disappointed in giving away that penalty. It's a great kick by Joe Reynolds, puts the Watsonians in another dangerous position.
Yeah, what did you make of that scrum there? I mean, the scrums have, to a large part, have been completed quite successfully, but they're clearly penalised here. 1 or 2 fresh legs coming on to the scrum as well, of course. That's not to say they don't know their roles well enough, but they will be disappointed, as you say, not to complete it and at least put more pressure on Watsonians.
Yeah, I'm surprised that, especially with Struan Cessford and Michael Linus coming on, when they're a couple of experienced players and usually very solid in the scrum.
Edwards has found touch with his clearance from the edge of the 22 downfield, and Watsonians will have another set play. This is sometimes when the game can get a little bit untidy and broken up, with the number of changes coming just at regular intervals during the course of the final 20 minutes or so. Most coaches like to have a nucleus of fresh legs on for that final surge in the last 10-15 minutes. Little interchange then, back to the action as Connor Boyle and Rowan Frostwick linking up well. Frostwick again, loose head prop is Harrison Courtney. He takes the ball up, goes a second time as well, goes to ground eventually. Miller now on towards the inside centre. That's Joe Reynolds. Reynolds has caught the shot of the 22. Back it comes again. Frostwick, the second row forward. Brian Leach tries to escape the attentions there. The referee outstretched arm. Very short advantage played because a player is sprawled out on the touch after a hefty collision there just outside the Heriot's 22. So we'll have a stoppage in play, and it's the Watsonians number 8 Morgan Innes who's been in the wars, been treated just at the moment. 59 minutes, almost exactly an hour of the match gone, Graham, and the final 20 minutes is going to be very, very important to naturally how this game will ultimately end. Heriot's very much in it, having scored the 2 tries and having kicked well through Alex Ball, but Watsonians just having a slight edge as things stand, not just on the scoreboard, but the way the game has ebbed and flowed.
Yeah, I think Watsonians certainly have the momentum at the moment, and that looks like a yellow card, I think, for Michael Linus for that collision there, and the opportunity for Watsonians to get another 3 points. Heriots need to find something to get themselves back into this half.
Well, that'd be the first yellow of the game so far, coming pretty much on the hour mark, and it looks as if Lee Miller is just there's a glimpse of Michael Linus in that, heading towards the sin bin there. Not long since come on the field of play. Linus along with Struan Sesford, Callum Marshall, the first of the replacements. Jason Hill has been on since midway through the first half after an injury sustained to Jack Mann in that back row for Heriots. Miller now just lining up this penalty goal. Miller then from outside the 22, just slightly left of centre, not quite in line with the left hand post but very close to it. And the skipper of Watsonians then this afternoon has a long look up at the posts, readies himself, and will look to try and add a further 3 points for the visiting side. Here he goes then, nice clean strike over the advertising hoardings at the back, and Watsonians increasing their lead then 25 points to 17, and Heriot's down a man. This is going to be a very important 10 minutes for the home side just to try and get themselves regrouped, reorganised and back into the game, because Watsonians the last little while have had the upper hand, no question.
Yeah, it was straightforward but important kick there by Lee Miller. It takes them 8 points ahead, so out with that converted try. And with Heriots being down to 14 men, it's going to be a difficult 10-minute period, but they need to find something to get themselves back in.
Watsonians also looking just to make some replacements. I think they're readying themselves. I can see that Jamie Miller, I think his afternoon is done, so Watsonians look to go to the bench, I'd imagine now, having opened up an 8-point advantage. Just get confirmation of the replacement there, but certainly Jamie Miller has been replaced, and Watsonians have plenty of strength on that bench when you look at who they have there. Campbell Wilson, Finn Hobbs, Johnny Gibson, Finlay Simpson, Michael Badenhorst, Murray Scott, Andrew Chalmers and Cody McGovern as starting replacements for Watsonians this afternoon. Another set play in this little stop-start spell in the second half, but Watsonians just edging further in front through that penalty goal slotted over by Lee Miller just a few minutes ago there. 17 points to 25 the score in the left-hand corner. The yellow card is for a Michael Linus challenge, and the Watsonians number 8 Morgan Innes. So this Watsonian scrum then, Ron Frostwick just feeding the ball into the set play at the moment. Alongside him is the replacement scrum half Andrew Simmers, who started the match last weekend at Millbrae. On there towards Miller. Miller then hoists a high one, an angled kick that bounces as Jack Blaine tried to measure the bounce. He allowed it to go into touch just down towards his right hand side again, and well executed kick there from Miller, and Heriots will have the throw in just outside their own 22.
I think Watsonians will look to do that more often now, try and play territory. They've got that bonus point in the bag, they're 8 points up, and I think put the ball down there and ask Heriots what they can do.
Michael Badenhorst is in for Jamie Miller, confirmation of that replacement, and Watsonians then leading after having taken the lead a couple of times in the game before that. This is the third spell in front in the match, which has seesawed very nicely for the neutrals, and there are many inside Goldenacre this afternoon. Watching on here as Heriot's now showing a bit more purpose through Andrew Simmers, trying to just play some recycle ball. Simmers on, of course, for Alex Ball, who played the best part of an hour this afternoon. That's a box kick then from Simmers. Underneath it, Watsonians, a man with purpose is Angus Guthrie, one of their try scorers, takes it up towards halfway. FOSROC goes in again, has a little look towards his left hand side, finds Miller with the right footed cross kick. Again back, Heriots have men in numbers there. Robbie Chalmers in your picture just now. Time to measure a kick, right footed downfield touch finder across in that far side. So these lineouts and scrums are going to be increasingly important in the closing stages, as there's not quite as much free flowing play from either side just at the moment, but it remains an entertaining and contest that is very much just on the edge at the moment, simmering nicely, not too much between the sides. Watsonians protecting an 8-point lead, and Graham, it's fair to say it would be a difficult game to call even at this stage with Watsonians in front, but still time for Heriots to form a response.
Yeah, I think it's important for Heriot to just try and gain some possession and try and get back into their shape and start attacking, but they're finding it very difficult with Watsonians starving them of possession at the moment.
Watsonians taking it on again with purpose, and there is the aforementioned Michael Badenhorst coming onto a ball at pace there between the 10 and the 22. Back towards Miller again. Flat pass is taken down there by Nathan Burrell. Tried to control it. The advantage now coming in the way of Heriots. That immediately is blown by the referee, as nothing free flowing was happening there, and the set play will go the way of the home side. The referee just having a glance to see if there's any further activity, I think, on the touchline just now. But at the moment it will be Heriots put in another set play, another scrummage with a little bit more time, I suppose, for these players to settle in. Of course, minus Michael Linus, who was shown the yellow card for that challenge, and Morgan Innes a little bit earlier on in the contest. His time in the sin bin, he'll probably be, I would think, now about halfway through those 10 minutes. So Heriots playing with 14 men at the moment, up against a Watsonian side with a full complement of 15 players in the park and an 8-point advantage, and it will be Andrew Simmers that will feed the ball into the scrum. Live coverage from Goldenacre, this FOSROC Super 6 clash between Heriot Rugby and Watsonians, round 2 of the Super 6, and this the Sunday fixture on the back of 2 exciting matches in Ayr and Stirling yesterday. Good work there from Robert Kay, the inside centre, up towards the 22. It's been a quieter match for Kay. He was very much at the heart of the action last weekend at Millbrae, but worked very hard when he's been in possession of the ball, that has to be said. Watsonians trying to force Heriot sideways and backwards at the moment. Down below, our cameramen just down in front of us as we're perched at the back of the stand, and Watsonians have done well indeed. They've won again. Another penalty here, as Watsonians just winning these little one-to-one battles just at the moment. Heriot, you can see, penalised there. The signal from the match referee Keith Allen, and Watsonians and Heriots will lock horns once again in the latest scrum just inside Heriot's territory. A replay there of that opportunity that led to the decision going the way of Watsonians, and the scoreline comes back on our screens. 25 points to 17, Graham, with now 14 minutes of the game left to play.
Yeah, Heriots are going to be frustrated by that one. It's another turnover in possession, getting held up in the maul. So Watsonians now have another opportunity to attack. Good scrum ball.
Watching on here, Frostwick. Here's the word set from Keith Allen. Feeds the ball into the scrum, wheels his way around to the back. It's controlled there by the feet of Morgan Innes, number 8. Frostwick then again tries to find Miller, who is the initial runner. Badenhorst with the outstretched right hand just to direct the players in front of him further forward. As play just is halted between the 10 and the 22, about 16 metres in from touch on that far side, taken on by Brian Leach. Leach carrying back towards Miller, the captain. Miller, little interchange of passes there with Joe Reynolds, and the referee now penalising Watsonians for crossing. I think that was just that interchange between Miller and Reynolds there, and Reynolds' run penalised, and Heriots now from hand through Edwards Edwards angling a kick, very deliberate to put some pace on that, and that trundles, but again it's not a touch finder there, and it carries over the goal line. So that's a couple of opportunities when he's been on that left hand side. It's not been the result Edwards has been looking for, and rueful expressions on those Heriot's players, Graham.
Stuart Edwards will be disappointed with that one again. It's an unforced error, and it's these small margins that are giving Watsonians that momentum.
You can see that Michael Linus, just down below us, is taking off the big padded coat he was wearing and just pacing about just at the front of the main stand at the moment. It's controlled there by Chalmers, and he takes the ball on. Good work there from Robbie Chalmers. Carries well up towards the halfway line. He's eventually brought to ground, and behind is Simmers. On now again, one of the first replacements, Hill, taking it on. It was good solid challenge coming in there from Watsonians. Again, Angus Guthrie playing with plenty of confidence in the second half. Already a try on the board for him, and it's Guthrie over the ball at the moment, taken on by the tight head prop there, Nathan Borrell. Slowed up there, but allows Frustrick to come back in, and once again it's on now towards Miller. Fullback Forbes comes up just on the angle. The offload is a crisp and assured one out on that right hand side, and that ricochet there as Loman McPherson is perhaps beginning to think about a hat-trick of tries. Played the grubber kick, seemed to come off the feet and ankles of a Heriot's player over on that right hand side, and it remains Heriot's 17, Watsonians 25. Offside decision has been given against Heriot's, and I think against specifically there Rory McMichael. There's a minute left on that sin binning for Michael Linus, and you can tell he's itching to get back on the field of play. And Watsonians, well, they've not necessarily added to the scoreboard significantly since Linus went off with that yellow card. 25 points to 17. They might be a little disappointed not to have got something against the 14 men.
Yeah, they would have hoped to maybe rack up a couple more points, a few more points. With Linus off in the sin bin, they've got good attacking opportunity here through the forwards in that driven maul.
Watsonians again then just trying to work something through the forwards again, led by the ever hard working Davis, and it's Davis that peels away, and it's Davis who scores try number 5 for Watsonians. And just as we said that no real damage had been done with the man down, Heriot's now Linus and Cole looking on as Watsonians celebrate a 5th try, and he's been at the heart of a lot of solid attacking from Linus and from Mauls inside that Heriot's 22. It pays dividends for Carl Davis. Here's a chance, Graham, to watch this one. This will be a bitter pill for these Heriot's players watching this one back.
It looked like they defended the maul quite well initially, and then I think Callum Davis has just seen a gap round the side and been able to break off and get that try. And now, if Lee Miller's able to convert that, that'll be the 10 points that they've scored with Michael Linus stuff. So it actually been quite a fruitful period for them.
Yeah, it does. The penalty goal had extended the lead, and Linus was about to come back on when a try is scored by the hooker Carl Davis, taking a well-earned drink from the drinks bottle. And watching on down below us, a few Heriot's players on the touchline, hands and hips. Watsonians, it looks as if they're stripped and ready. A couple of players, Campbell Wilson and Johnny Gibson. But all eyes now on this conversion attempt. Clean strike and successful. There's another 2 points for Watsonians, 32 points to 17. And Watsonians then just nudging further in front with 9 minutes of the match left to play. And as we mentioned, the Campbell Wilson and Johnny Gibson have come on. I can also see Finn Hobbs is on the field, so some changes now being made as the full front three look to be changed, I think. And down there as well, just watching to see if there's further activity. I think it's the front three for now from Watsonians, just freshening things up. So just to repeat, Campbell Wilson, Finn Hobbs and Johnny Gibson look to be on for Harrison Courtney, Carl Davis and Nathan Borrell. So Carl Davis's last action is to score that try. That was converted. We have a score now of Watsonians 32, Heriot 17, and Watsonians will be heading to the top of the Super 6 table this evening with 2 wins from 2 away fixtures, and that's certainly, from their point of view, a positive start to this new competition. handshakes all around there. Davis getting congratulations from those in the Watsonians bench as we return to the action now on the park, and we can see immediately Michael Linus getting himself involved with this throw in here for Heriot. Short stab throw in towards the front of the line and taken on by Jason Hill. Heriot's looking for a quick response here. Simmers on towards Edwards, has a little look to the left hand side. Hutchison is the first player to take the ball on at the angle, and in behind again is Simmers. Edwards again, half-backs trying to link up well across on that left hand side. Chalmers again trying to make himself available. They'll have to work it back to this right hand side and back infield, you'd imagine, taken on this time by Strew and Cessford. Rather stationary just now, Cessford, as it comes back again, and Heriot's just looking to recycle through Simmers. Edwards once more plays the pass, solid challenge, the centre's coming in. Berg with a solid challenge coming in there on Robert Kay. Recycled by Simmers again. Almost a pod forms, but in front of them all there was Jason Hill. He's forced backwards. Heriot still retained possession though, just on the angle on the edge of the 22. The sun setting over Goldenacre at the moment, but Watsonians have the advantage. Little floated kick there from Edwards, a nice measured one. Chalmers is chasing after that one. The cover defence has to be good. It's Loman McPherson on defensive duties this time. Scurrying back also was fullback Jamie Forbes, but that was very much measured there for number 23 Robbie Chalmers. And the referee now across to that far side to have a word with his far side assistant. We'll get a replay of this, Graham.
So Heriot's line out.
It looks like Loman McPherson's just got a touch on that as he's covered back well, so it will be the Heriot's line out. But as I said, great covering back from McPherson after a good kick through by Stuart Edwards.
You'd accept that he did get hands on the ball last, and the ball from it, the palm of his hand, just bounced into touch there. So it will be a set play, and Heriots will continue to try and press. Remember, 5 tries to 2 Watsonians with the tries. 2 tries from McPherson, Joe Reynolds, Andrew Guthrie and Cal Davis. Rory McMichael and Scott Riddle scoring tries for Heriots in this All Edinburgh Derby. It's been another enthralling Super 6 contest, and it's not done yet, as Heriots now, 6 minutes of the game to go, on the charge, on the offensive, inside that Watsonians 22 just now, looking, you see Simmers there, looking for the ball to be made playable. He goes in a couple of times, goes in, squats down. You can see one of the first receivers in position is Jason Hill. Hill carries, plays the ball back, another pod forms inside the final 5-6 metres of that 22, gathered again. Watsonians solid defensive work, only conceded the 2 tries so far, but Heriots will want to change all that, and they'll want to pay dividends now as again Hill drops that left shoulder. He's bundled backwards though. Simmers in behind, has a little look. Again, Cameron Hutchison was in position to give and go again. Hutchison now this time, oh, the little interception. That pass was very much aimed at Hutchison. Comes back on the Heriot side. Kay with a solid challenge, but the referee has put it off, offside decision, or given the offside as I think a Watsonians player, Watsonians player signalling that a Heriots player is needing a bit of treatment. Anyway, the referee is just having a quick word with a couple of the players as Heriots number 22, who is Cameron Hutchison, is back to his feet there, and he's just been, I think, led off. Cameron Hutchison.
Blue 9 and 14, it's a sub.
Blue 9 and 14, so that can see Watsonians making 3 changes. Just looking to see Cameron Hutchison. I think he's got a arm and blood injury there. We'll just maybe get a clip of that collision. This is a solid challenge coming in there on Robert Kay.
I think the Watsonians defence has been excellent. Heriot's battering away at the line there, but the defence is repelling them every time.
For the changes then for Watsonians, the half-backs have worked extremely hard, and they'll be able to watch on just in the closing stages now. They've replaced the right winger as well, Loman McPherson. No hat-trick of tries for him. He stands alongside the scrum half, Lord Frosterick, who's been replaced. But Watsonians will be on defensive duties for the conclusion of this scrum, as Heriots will want to just pin them back. Turnover at the scrum would do Watsonians nicely here. But Watsonians just happy to play the clock down at the moment, leading by 32 points to 17. Graham, we should ask you as well, it's always a very difficult question to put to the co-commentator, but after 75, 76 minutes, who would you say would be your in running for your man of the match?
It's been a very impressive second half performance by Watsonians. A number of players have shown up really well. I think the back three have all been fantastic, but for me their main man's been Joe Reynolds at 12. He's an attack and defence, he's really controlled things well.
Joe Reynolds at 12 then, that's certainly Graham would give Joe Reynolds his man of the match award as the inside centre scoring for the second week running. As we're watching now, Heriot's on the charge at the moment. Jason Hill just on the angle, recycled by Simmers, comes out towards this right hand side, Jack Blaine, but Blaine has just forced a foot in touch there. A little bit of afters as Watsonians are not wanting to relinquish possession. Clock's still ticking down, and we've now just over 3 minutes of this match left to play. And all credit to Watsonians, 2 away matches in the opening 2 Super 6 fixtures, and they look at the moment as if they're going to come away with the try-bonus point this afternoon, having won narrowly down at the Green Yards against the Southern Knights last weekend. Watsonians, of course, had a spell back in the late 1990s when they reached the inaugural Scottish Cup final, losing to Hoyk, and of course were champions just a couple of years later. Have enjoyed championship success over the years, and this would be a nice little honour for them if they were to be the team that were to finish on top of the table. But after 2 rounds of matches, it looks as if Watsonians will lead the way, and Joe Reynolds, the inside centre, certainly Graham's man of the match, is from the scrum. It's now over that try line. The ball not quite cleanly grounded there by Andrew Simmers, who came in at the angle. And Graham, your thoughts on that, from the experience of a half-back? What did you make of Simmers' run and the possibility of him being able to touch down there?
It was a nice wee snipe round the corner by Andrew, as it has been all half. Some great defence again by Watsonians. Looks like it might be a penalty to Heriot, but they've done really well to keep him out there from that range.
So the man of the match has been announced, and well done, Graham. Joe Reynolds is the FOSROC Super 6 man of the match for our live Sunday match in round 2 here at Goldenacre, with Watsonians on the verge of victory over their well-known city rivals Heriot. There is a glimpse of Joe Reynolds just celebrating, I'd imagine, at the end of this one, not just his man of the match award, but an important 5 points for Watsonians. If they can see this out, 32 points to 17 they lead. It's a tall order now for Heriot to come back, but they'll want at least another score on the board if they can. Some really solid collisions coming in there as Heriot still retain possession of the ball, but the referee again is immediately over a Watsonians player who's taken a so, and that's the captain, Lee Miller, who's needing a bit of attention. He's just getting back to his feet. He did take a solid challenge towards that left hand shoulder there, so you can see that Keith Allen taking no risks whatsoever, but that was an upper body challenge, fully committed coming into that. So a little stoppage in play with a minute of this game left, and it remains Heriot's 17, Watsonians 32, and the second round of fixtures in this competition drawing to a close with Heriot's next weekend. Looking ahead, Watsonians I think have got Stirling County. There's some interesting matches to come. Are you going to be with the squad next week, Graham?
I think it's Boroughmuir Bears on Friday night for Heriot, so I'll be along to watch that one. I'm sure they'll have a big week of training after this game. They'll be a bit disappointed, but they'll review it, go through the analysis, see what they need to work on, and then really regroup. It's quite a short turnaround from the Sunday game to the Friday.
That is interesting, that the fact that there's also a few Friday night matches. I think it's been identified as a good time to perhaps bring in some corporate hospitality and corporate sponsors and corporate interest as well, because people, having finished their jobs at 5:30, it's a nice way to spend a Friday evening. It's been popular at Murrayfield with Edinburgh Rugby as well, and Boroughmuir looking to take on that initiative. Other clubs I'm sure will follow with Friday night fixtures also.
Yep, Boroughmuir kicked things off last weekend with a Friday night game, and from what I heard, it was a great occasion, very well attended, and it's a good one, as you say, for the fans, for the spectators. It's also one that the players quite enjoy as well.
just under a minute of the contest left to play then. 5 tries for the Watsonians. Heriot's on the attack with the scrum here. Simmers has a little look to his left hand side. The referee not making the ball playable for Simmers there as he penalises Watsonians and shows a yellow card. And we'll just see which of the forwards has been penalised for that yellow. So 2 yellows in this match, not as many as dished out by Keith Allen last weekend at Millbrae when there was fully 5. But Watsonians will play out the final few seconds down to 14 men, and there'll be another set play inside that 22. And there is they're just making his way back towards the touchline there. Graham, your thoughts as Heriots are as Watsonians are having to bring on Harrison Courtney just to shore things up.
Well, it looks like this will probably be the last play. Heriots will be desperate to finish with a try, a consolation at this stage, but at the moment they've been nilled in the second half, so they'd want to change that, I'm sure.
And Hobbs just was on a picture momentarily. He's back towards the Watsonians clutch of backroom staff. They'll watch on, as we mentioned there, coming on Harrison Courtney, and Watsonians just rejigging things. Have to be down a man, of course, with that being a yellow card. Another set play for Heriots then, and the man coming off there I think is been Connor Boyle, so he's been withdrawn. Just looking to see if Heriots can do something in these final few seconds then, as Simmers pops the ball into the scrum. Hugging the touchline is Jack Blaine, but it's going to be the forwards just trying to muscle up against the man advantage. Watsonians, remember, down a man in the forwards again. Watsonians just penalised, and Heriots looking again quickly just to get themselves reorganised. They'll want to continue putting pressure on this Watsonian set play, having lost the influential services of Finn Hobbs to a yellow card.
Heriot showing their strength up front there, and as I mentioned, they'll be desperate to get something late on in the game and try and get a third try.
Into second half stoppage time now at Goldenacre. It's got quiet around Goldenacre just now. There is the hooter sounding that we have reached the end of the contest. Our timekeeper was going to stand or sit just directly below us, but is down towards the front of the stand now. We had a chat with him before the start of the match, and he taps and feeds the ball in. Simmers to this set play. Watsonians then trying to defend solidly. Simmers is able to pick up. Chalmers is an option, so too is Kay. Kay is bundled backwards. He was maybe a little slow enough loading there, a little uncertain, but comes back towards Simmers again, out towards Chalmers on this right hand side, taking the ball on there from Leishman. Back it comes towards Simmers, and this time against Struan Sesford, taking the ball into contact situation. He's down, sprawled out in the turf, but makes the ball available, and Simmers again has a little look, and then a longer look as he feeds the ball in once more towards Charlie Dupe, who takes the ball in. This time Edwards, the measured run coming in onto pace with Sesford, nothing doing. The referee signalling that will bring the second half to an end. 32 points to 17 then for Watsonians. 5 tries in the end for them. We will review them. McPherson scoring twice. Loman McPherson, 2 tries for him. Joe Reynolds, the man of the match, also on the score sheet, along with Angus Guthrie and with Lee Miller. Responses as well from Rory McMichael and Scott Riddle. Of course, it was Carl Davis who scored Watsonians' 5th try. Lee Miller adding many of the extras from his trusted right boot as well. 2 tries then for Heriots, but not a win on home soil for them this afternoon. Here a reminder of the final score, and Watsonians will head back to Myerside as FOSROC Super 6 leaders after 2 rounds. And Graham Olsen, your thoughts?
I think it's been another great game of rugby in the Super 6. Very impressed with Watsonians, especially their second half performance. They went in at half time down, maybe some stern words at half time, but they really set the tone with their defence in the second half, didn't give Heriots a sniff, and they were clinical with ball in hand, took their tries very, very well.
Gavin will be down touchline with the man of the match. I think he's with them just in a moment, but of course our man of the match this afternoon, Joe Reynolds, having scored last weekend down at the Green Yards, and he was the second try scorer this afternoon, latching on to a ball, a lovely delicate right-footed chip. It was like a pitching wedge, gathered inside the 22, evaded the defensive cover of the Heriots back line, and he was in for a score. And as I mentioned, Gavin is down touchline with our man of the match, Joe Reynolds.
Joe, 2 wins from 2, top of the league and an Edinburgh Derby win. You couldn't ask for a much better start to the tournament than that?
Nah, top of it from the boys. We stuck to what we trained with all week and just went to our guns. Heriot's played well, nice physical game, nice and wide game. We just stuck to our plan and it paid off.
In terms of the performance, it was a spirited second half, scoring 20 unanswered points. What did the coach say to you at half time to inspire you?
Coach just said exactly the same state of our plan. We need to back ourselves. I think our defence is building each week. We set a good mark last week and a game again today, and I think our defence makes our attack, complements our attack. So we just let that look after ourselves and try to be as physical as we can.
And in terms of your own individual performance, it was a brilliant first half try. Can you talk us through that one?
It's always good to go with a bit of meat, but just jumped on the opportunity and fortunate to finish it off.
Perfect. Well, you're our FOSROC Super6 player of the match, and we've got Sean Lean to present you with your award.
Sean Lenine there presenting the Man of the Match award to Joe Reynolds, one of the Watsonians try scorers this afternoon here at Goldenacre, and he just gets his photograph taken there with the former Scotland International Centre. So of course it was a finely poised first half, 17 points all, and Watsonians then coming out in the second period with a lot of purpose. This is the Guthrie try, again taking the ball on there from Miller, and not a great deal of room for Angus Guthrie to work with here, but Miller's sharp pass providing Guthrie with an opportunity. Nice sidestep, evading the initial tackle coming in, and in for a try that just give Watsonians the advantage. This then with Watsonians very much their tails up. McPherson just peeling off, providing the cover there as FOSROC with a sharp pass. See it again, the right winger, too much there for the tight head prop Chris Keane I should say, just to cover the run there, and a powerful run indeed of Loman McPherson, and McPherson was in for his second try, and Watsonians were certainly making Heriot's count at that stage. Then Lee Miller with a penalty goal just to extend the advantage. That was taking the game to 25 points to 17. And of course Watsonians finishing with a plum here. Again, you can see the power, the ball tucked under the arm of the try scorer at that stage, Carl Davis. Davison peeling away, a good turn of pace there from the hooker, and over the try line he goes, and that was try number 5 for Watsonians. It was very much one way in the second half in terms of the scoring, and he was delighted with that. He was replaced shortly afterwards, but it was a real team effort. Can head back down touchline, and Gav is with the Heriot's coach.
Second half we just didn't turn up. We had a really good first half, and then as good as the first half was, the second half was as poor, which was just disappointing.
Looking ahead to next week, it's another all Edinburgh tie against the Boroughmuir Bears. What can you do to make sure you bounce back from this one?
We just have to correct a few errors. I mean, it wasn't massive. A bit of game management at the start of the second half gave them a bit of pressure and a bit of momentum, and if we can just fix that and tie up a couple of errors, then we'll be fine.
Perfect, thanks for talking to us.
Okay, thank you.
Graham, always difficult for the coach of a losing side to so soon after the full-time whistle really reflect on such a defeat, but he was looking at fine margins in the game, tightening things up, just looking to try and sharpen things up. That'll apply to all these 6 sides in the competition, because it is so close early on.
Yeah, it is such fine margins in these games, and things like not hitting touch, wee scrum penalties just gives the other team momentum. It's very difficult within that stage.
We see there Watsonians then 2 wins from 2. They've got the try bonus point this afternoon after a win here at Goldenacre. Stirling County, of course, they collected points yesterday at home to Southern Knights in a 24-all draw. Ayrshire Bulls were put under pressure in the closing stages after Boroughmuir Bears scored 2 tries in the last 5 minutes at Millbrae, but that 32-27 win for Ayrshire Bulls ensures they've got their first win of the season. Southern Knights, of course, collecting points away at Stirling, and Boroughmuir will have 2 losing bonus points to their name. And next weekend, of course, we're at Myerside for the match between Watsonians and Stirling County. As always, that has a 2 o'clock kick-off. Well, it's great to have had your coverage this afternoon here for this first Edinburgh Derby of the season, live streamed on a Sunday afternoon. A very healthy crowd inside Goldenacre, another very entertaining match, and the winners are now top of the FOSROC Super6 table after 2 rounds of matches. Heriot 17, Watsonians 32, the final score. We thank you for your interest, and we hope to have you joining us once again next Sunday afternoon from Myerside for that match. Of course, coming up, plenty more rugby in the Super 6 competition, but after 2 rounds, it's Watsonians who lead the way.